Hi, sixth graders. My presentation today is a brief one, just talking a little bit about giving some credit to your sources when doing research. And I know that right now you are going to be doing research on the Summer Olympics, on some different summer events, and on the athletes in those events. And so we're going to talk briefly about today how to give the credit and kind of keep track of those sources. I know this is a little bit different than how you'd be doing it at school. And when you get back to school as seventh graders and get a chance to really get back into how to do a bibliography, we'll get a chance to really look at that in a more detailed fashion. But at home and while you're doing this research at home, this will be a way to keep track of your sources and still give credit. Just like the little cartoon here says, yeah, you can take ideas and information off the internet, but you do want to give permission from the sources and still give them full credit. So we still want to show that you did do your homework, you did do the research, you did look in multiple places to find the information. It wasn't that you looked at one article or read one thing and found all that information, but that you came to a lot of different places. So today I'm going to take just a couple minutes and go through a couple things that I hope will be helpful. A couple of the websites that you guys are going to be visiting that both Ms. Goldman and Ms. Schultz said would probably be useful, we'll take a brief look at. What I'm going to recommend you do as you keep track of your sources is have a Google Doc open as you're doing your research. So if you're doing some online research, in the internet or doing some database research, you'll want to have some kind of a document open. I've just titled mine Citations here, and I've put a note up here at the top as a reminder of some things to keep track of if you find something on a website. And I'll go through a few examples of some things. There are some specific ways to keep track of the right information for a web source. I've listed what I'd say are probably the most important things that you're going to want to list. If you find something online, you're going to want to try to list the first and last name of the author if it's given. You're going to want to put down the name of the article or the web page, and you put that in quotation marks as it's shown here. You're going to want to list the web address up to the .com or the .org, and you're going to want to put down the date that you accessed the information. So let's take a look real quickly at teamusa.org. This is one that you might be visiting as you're doing some research. I clicked on USA Badminton. I love badminton, so I wanted to find out. And I clicked on the profile of this young man. This is an article from just a couple of days ago about Dawson McClure. I didn't know anything about him, but he's 15 years old. Got a chance to look and just see that there's just a brief bit of information on him, but just in reading about him, it'd be interesting to find out more. If this is an article that I was going to use for my research, and I decided that I wanted to do so, I would need to give credit to say that, yes, I'm going to use this in my project. And so in doing the citation, I'd come back over to this citation document that we just looked at. Again, I'd want to be trying to write down the information necessary to say that this is an article I'm going to use. The first piece, again, was an author name, last name, first name of an author. This article, I did not see the name of an author. I'm scrolling down. Typically, you'd usually see that either right at the top, underneath the name of the article. Doesn't look like we were given an author. And a lot of times on internet articles, you won't see that unless it's being pulled from, say, a newspaper or a magazine or something like that. So we don't have an author's name here, so we're going to skip that part. We're going to move right to the next one, which is the page title. In this case, that page title, I guess I don't want that in the yellow highlighter here for you, is going to be Athlete Profile, Dawson McClure. So you'll see I just took the title here, put that in quotation marks, because that's our title of the page. The web address that I'm going to list, the reason I give this information is so that if someone wanted to actually visit the website, they could. We're not going to list out the whole web address here. We're going to just go to the .org, the .com, the .gov, whatever it is you're using. So we're just going to list it as www.teamusa. My goodness, I can't type this morning. .org, and we're going to leave it there. That way people know they could go to this website. If they were to then search for the athlete profile, Dawson McClure, they'd know that this is the article to look at. And then we're also going to put down the date that we've accessed this information. And so we're going to put down today's date, which is May 4th, 2020. Now there's some other formatting things with this. There's other information. If we were doing this as a fully formatted, correctly done bibliography or citations page, we'd go through a lot more here. But really all we're trying to do is get the nuts and bolts down, some information so that someone looking at this could say, I know the name of the article someone looked at, I know the website to go to, and I know when they looked at the information. That's really, I think, probably the most important info that you need to show that this is a site you looked at. Let's take a look at another one. Another site that Ms. Schultz and Ms. Goldman are going to encourage you to look at is this one here, olympic.org/sports. I went into their news section, took a look at this archery team. So again, we'd be doing the same thing, looking to see if this is an article we think that we'd use. And by the way, it wouldn't have to always just be articles, right? These could be audio files, they could be videos that you're using. Once again, we'd be looking for an author name first. We'd then also include the name of the title of the article itself. So as I go back up here, this has a long title. Would I write in the whole thing? Absolutely. Yep. So we'd go all the way from the word on to the word golds. We'd include that entire thing. We'd put in the word, the website, olympic.org here, and we go to the .org. And then we'd write in today's date if that's the date that we've accessed the information. Now, once again, as I look, I don't know if you guys see an author name. I do not. But, look closely. Some things are going to include it and some will not. So that's just a very quick bit of information on, as you're doing your website research, the pieces of info you're going to want to include to show credit that, yes, I've used this site and I want to give credit to the people that have written it, and I want to show that I've done my research. The other piece that I'm hoping you're going to make use of is going to be going into Schoology, going into groups, your 6th grade class page, resources on the left side, middle school online resources, and using this big blue button at the top that gives you at-home access to all the great databases that we have available. A quick way to do a great search would be to actually select all here. It's going to let you look at all the databases at one time. Just for fun, let's search Summer Olympics 2020 and let's see what comes up. These are articles that are available because our district pays for these subscriptions. So maybe we're going to take a look at this article, the 2020 Olympic Games postponed, published March 30th, 2020. As I scroll down and begin to read, perhaps I think to myself, yes, this is what I could use for my research. And what's wonderful about this is if I scroll to the bottom, or if I press this button up here at the top that says Cite, it creates the whole citation for me, and it puts it in the right order. I don't even have to look at what's the name of the article, what date did I access it. It puts everything in there correctly punctuated and capitalized. All I have to do is copy, go over to my citations page, and paste it in. So that's a really nice thing about the databases, that it creates the citation for you. Again, all we had to do to get there. Once I was looking at an article, it's often going to put it right at the very bottom, listed under source citation. Or the other option is to click on the button at the top of the article that says Cite. You'll notice it also will export it for you if you prefer to use something like Noodle Tools or EasyBib. If you want to then actually, if you start in the databases and you want to start by exporting it to your Google Drive at that time, you could do that if you hadn't already created your citation page. That's another option. So I hope that that is helpful to you as you're starting to put your research together, thinking about how am I going to give credit to show that I am looking at a bunch of different sources as you're doing your research. I hope that you'll reach out to me if you have questions about how to use the databases. If you're doing research and you want to know, is this a website that is a reputable website? Is it reliable? Can I count on this information? Does it look like it's a website I can trust? Or if you have questions about putting together your citations page, please know that I'd be happy to help. We can schedule a Zoom meeting. We can, message over Schoology or email or whatever works for you. Good luck with your research.